Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin. Today we'll be doing a presentation on Philippines and the issue of overfishing. We discussed in Module 9 how small countries in the Pacific are finding it hard to control and compete against industrial scale fishing, and I thought it would be interesting to look at this a little bit more in depth since it's not really an issue or well-known topic that we talk about a lot, such as global warming and climate change. But it is an issue in the Philippines and other countries in the Pacific, as well as has many consequences on a global scale. So the Philippines is an island country in Southeast Asia and is situated on the western Pacific Ocean. The country is made up of about 7,641 islands. The country is surrounded by the South China Sea on the west, the Philippine Sea on the east, and the Celebes Sea on the southwest. The capital is Manila, and the population is about 100 million people. The picture on the top left shows where the Philippines is in relation to Asia and Australia, and the bottom right is just a picture close up so you can see all the different islands. So overfishing. The definition is a form of overexploitation where fish stocks are reduced to below acceptable levels. The number of fish caught is higher than the reproduction rate of the fish. Overfishing can occur in bodies of water of any size, really, such as ponds, rivers, lakes, oceans. Overfishing can result in resource depletion, reduced biological growth rates, and low biomass levels. Sustained overfishing can lead to critical depensation, where the fish population is no longer able to sustain itself. Gathering as many fish as possible may seem like a profitable practice, but overfishing has many serious consequences. It not only affects the balance of life in the oceans, but also has social and economic consequences as well for communities that really depend on fishing. There are three types of overfishing. There's growth overfishing, which occurs when fish are caught before they have a chance to grow, or it's when immature fish below the required age for reproduction and harvest are gathered. There is recruitment overfishing, which is when adult fish population is caught in large numbers so that the fish reproduction is gravely impaired. And this can also include the recruitment of young fish to replenish stocks. The third type of overfishing is ecosystem overfishing, which is the decline in a once abundant fish stock due to fishing that is not compensated for by an increase in the stocks of other species. More than 70% of the world's fisheries are fully exploited, overexploited, or significantly depleted. And tragedy of the commons. Overfishing is partly the result of the accepted view that the world's oceans are common property for everyone to use. This means that no one is responsible for maintenance, protection, or improvement. The result of this open seas principle is a tragedy of the commons, or economic reality that, when a resource is available for everyone to use and there's no one controlling it, people think that they can use however much of the resources as they want or need, even though this means eventual depletion. Commercial and industrial scale fishing. Commercial fishermen and local fishermen are competing against each other. In the Philippines, local residents are fighting to preserve their fishing grounds from commercial fishermen. Reasons it's so hard for the countries like the Philippines to control how much industrial scale fishing goes on in their waters are because there are little to no rules and regulations. Industrial fishing is continuing to move into the Pacific Ocean, and they are competing with the advanced techniques of industrial scale fishing. In the Philippines, many local fishermen are finding it very hard to compete with commercial fishermen. Many local fishermen use the fish they catch as a source of food and income to pay for other necessities, such as their children's education and rice, which is a staple food. Fish depletion is a big threat to food security in the Philippines. Many people depend on fish and seafood as their major source of animal protein. When incomes of fishermen continually decline, the condition is described as economic overfishing. And in the Philippines, they are losing more than $400 million a year due to overfishing. Alright, so the causes of overfishing. The three main causes of overfishing in the Philippines are human population growth, a weak economy, and government policy. So human population growth is a major factor because the population has doubled in the past 35 years. The weak economy, there has been an influx of people to the coastal areas, which reflects the failure of other economic sectors to provide sustained employment. A weak economy and the lack of economic opportunities result in unemployment and increased poverty. Poverty increases the number of fishermen, and as their numbers increase, poor fishermen become a major factor in the destruction of fish habitats through the use of their destructive fishing methods. Destructive fishing methods are illegal with the lack of law enforcement. This allows those fishermen to continue using the types of methods that they want. In government policy, during the 1960s and 70s, the governments encouraged capital investment in fisheries and full exploitation of fish stocks. This was attractive to fishermen because there was this idea that they could earn high profits from very little investment. Some signs of an overfished area. So we have increase of less valuable fish, decrease in targeted species such as groupers, snappers, breams, and flatfish, and this is more related to the Philippines. There's a change in average size of fish, change in total fish catch, changes in species composition, decline in average income of fishers, absence of seabirds hunting for schools of fish, and more boats not going out to fish or not used as frequently. Another common way that locals figure out if an area is overfished is by asking fishermen who have lived there and worked in the same area for a long period of time. These fishermen use the same methods for many years in the same way, so they can tell when things start to drastically change. So some of examples of species caught for food that is in danger from overfishing: sharks, groupers, tuna, salmon, marlin, halibut, cod, monkfish, snapper, sturgeon, skate, orange ruffly, rockfish, whitefish, swordfish, and flounder. I bolded here kind of the ones that we would maybe see if we were going to a grocery store every day. Tuna, salmon, cod, and swordfish are really popular, and these species are becoming extinct or are in danger from overfishing. So what's being done? In some parts of the Philippines, the local governments are starting to restrict commercial fishing in specific areas. An example of this is in Pandan Bay. In Pandan, the municipal government has been increasingly restricting commercial fishing in the area. The government's goal is to ban it completely, which will hopefully help the local fishermen. They're also teaching local fishermen and residents on how to use ocean's resources sustainably. Local authorities are also issuing fishing IDs to local fishermen so that they are the only ones allowed in the bay. Also, in 1995, this was a while ago, but more than 100 countries adopted a treaty to regulate fishing on the open oceans outside territorial waters. The treaty required fishermen to report the size of their catches to regional organizations that would set quotas and subject vessels to boarding to check for violations. There's also using approaches to increase fish supply, such as fish farming or aquaculture. Fish farming is the breeding of fish in freshwater ponds, lakes, and canals, or fenced-off coastal bays or estuaries or enclosures. Aquaculture has provided a growing share of the total fish harvest in recent years, and it has also made a huge contribution to the human food supply. However, there are consequences of aquaculture, such as pollution from fish waste and chemicals and drugs, the transfer of disease to wild fish stocks, depletion of wild stock to provide feed for farmed fish, and genetic damage to wild stock from escaped or genetically altered farmed fish. And thank you. Here's just a little comic that I found. It says, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. And overfish, and soon no one eats. Thanks.